We know the Indians now to have the highest notions of liberty of any people on earth. A people who will never consider consequences when they think their liberty likely to be invaded, though it may end in their ruin. George Crone.
The Haudenosaunee was a centuries-old union comprised of the Six Nations: Seneca, Cayuga, Onondaga, Tuscarora, Oneida, and Mohawk. Each was allowed to act in its own interest, but they were expected to act together in matters affecting them all. They likened their confederacy to a great longhouse. The Senecas were the keepers of its western door, the Mohawks the eastern door. At the center was Onondaga, where representatives met around the great council fire.
Normally, you hammer things out until everybody says, okay, this is what we will do. And that had endured, right? Battered and bruised and bombarded through colonial wars and all the rest of it, that had endured. And then the revolution occurs.
For us, the Mohawk people, it was survival, period. And you didn't know which side was gonna be the best choice. We kind of gravitated mostly to the British because they had kind of won our respect, beating the French and pretty much having our interests when they dealt with the regular colonists.
The disturbances in America give great trouble to all our nations. The Mohawks, our particular nation, have on all occasions shown their zeal and loyalty to the great king, Tyundanego.
No Mohawk man identified more closely with the British than Tyundanego, who was also known as Joseph Brant. His sister Molly had married the British Superintendent of Indian Affairs, and her connections helped Brant make his name among the English. He had fought for the crown in the French and Indian War at 15, attended an English mission school, and in 1776 traveled to London, where he reaffirmed his people's loyalty to Britain in an audience with King George III.
Many of the Indian people in this time are kind of anonymous to us in some ways because we don't have accurate representations of them. But one of the major exceptions is Joseph Brant, who had his portrait painted not once but many, many times. This is the 18th century. Not just anybody got their portrait painted. To have your portrait painted multiple times was unusual. I think he controlled his space. I confound your stereotypical images of savage Indians.
Brant had fought against the Patriots at the Battle of Long Island, then began traveling from town to town within the Six Nations, urging the young men to join him. It was imperative, he told them, to defend our lands and liberty against the rebels, who in a great measure began the rebellion to be sole masters of the continent. But suspicious of the way Brant seemed to move between the Indian and British worlds, more traditional leaders resented this minor chief's ambition to lead them into war and preferred to hold back until it seemed clear Britain was headed for victory. And so when Brant assembled his armed volunteers, only a handful were from the Six Nations. Perhaps 80% of them were loyalist settlers